All right. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Johnny Sinclair. I'm VP of Engineering at HighRoads, and thank you all for coming or watching in on the stream today for our presentation. HighRoads are a US health tech and insurtech company that provide modular health insurance data management platform for the US market. And today I'm going to take you on the HighRoads engineering journey over the past 3 years as we set up and grew our Belfast Engineering Centre. And bear with me, I hope this will be a presentation like no other, with many twists and turns as we go on a journey today of discovery, a journey of learning, and more importantly, a journey about culture of change. We're going to have a bit of excitement here, going to be a bit interactive. This talk aims to challenge us all on how we view and understand change, what it does to our bias, and how it influences our perception. So before we get distracted, a little bit of a COVID advisory. All props here have been sanitized. All folks have been tested in the making of this presentation. And as it may be contagious, this presentation has been censored. As you can see from the talk paperwork, it is entitled "What the Tech?" And we will be using that phrase an awful lot today. So as we start our story, as a true and efficient developer, we'll start with lesson 0. Time equals respect. And there's an awful lot to be said about timeliness and about how we spend our time. And time is a very respectful thing. Essentially, where we place our value when we attend meetings or when we come early or come on time to meetings. We're valuing what we're going to see, what we're participating in. And anyone tell me what they think about E equals MC squared? Anyone a classical FM listener? No, only myself. You may have heard this the other day, and I've heard it several times before, but everyone knows the scientific background behind E equals MC squared, but this is more apt. Early equals morning coffee, and there's this thing, we get into work early and you grab your coffee and you socialize, and we're all missing that at the minute. But whilst we've been gathering here, certainly in this main stage, myself and the team have been taking note and looking at who came early, who valued what they were going to hear today and thought it was good enough to come on time or be early and spend their time here today. And as per COVID, I'm going to put my mask on before I participate. I identified an individual who did, in the previous presentation, come towards the end just to make it here to watch this presentation. And they may not have known that. And this is the individual in question. Sir, you gain yourself an AeroPress for being here. Early just to hear, and I've lost my mic. Early just to hear the topic that we're talking about today in change management. So, as I said, I'm going to do things differently. There will be twists and turns. So without further ado, we're going to start our journey on HighRoads over the last 3 years. So immediately you're thinking, what the tech? And that's the same that I nearly get from every US person I speak to when I tell them that I am teetotal and that ironically, the first 3 hires we made in HighRoads were teetotal, but yeah, there are, as they say, Irishmen that do not drink. That's just the topic of conversation we get quite often when we go to the US and chat with them. But our first story off the back of that introduction to HighRoads getting set up is a story about trust, about building trust, knowing where to place your trust. And at HighRoads, a lot of trust have been placed in third-party service providers, MSPs, and this is a common, place thing. It makes sense. When you're building a business, you have to augment your team with service providers, and you expect that you can trust them. And however, business, everything is built around human interaction and humans. We all make mistakes, so whilst we trust our MSPs and build our business around MSPs, we also have to be vigilant. Laziness can creep in and we can miss things that are spiraling out of control. So we move to our first lesson, lesson 1, setting an example. So when I started my first week at HighRoads in Boston, and it's the week most of us fear, it's when we're feeding from the fire hose, this is where the first sort of scenario of change management came into play. It's when you go in and you have no bias, you are able to come with a fresh perspective, identify opportunities, determine how can I help bring value to this business. And this is as much a leadership objective as a change management lesson. So as Jerry Rice, the American footballer, said, today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can do what others can't. And my first week at HighRoads, I was feeding from fire hose, learning a lot about what they were doing, and as I said, who they were trusting, and they'd entrusted some work to a managed service provider. And as I said, that makes sense, and it's what we all do and need to do. But it's being vigilant of what's happening. In that instance, it was a lift and shift the data center to the cloud had happened. And it was an obvious choice. There was no application changes needed, no architecture changes. It's an easy migration. There's a disadvantage, though, when you do a lift and shift, which is just a straight lift and in. You don't get the cloud benefits straight up. You don't get the scalability benefits. You can end up getting latency and performance issues. So when we look at this, what were the problems? Well, costs were continually rising. Operations were becoming unmanageable. There was an external reliance on processes and knowledge. So what do we do next? Well, change is the main topic here today. And this was a golden ticket opportunity. First week in, and there was obvious glaring issues that could be addressed to help drive change and to help innovate. And as per Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, Charlie talks to his father and remains cheerful even though things are tough. He thinks positive. And to that point today, again, twists and turns. If you look under your seat today, you may find a golden ticket. And I'm not joking, look under your seats. There are golden tickets. There are Willy Wonka chocolate bars spread throughout. And if you're not in a seat that has a golden chocolate bar, maybe check the seat beside you, maybe move around. Folks who are at the back who are maybe not in, please come on in. There's an opportunity to get a chocolate bar, and maybe more opportunities later on in the presentation. But this was an opportunity to build trust, to collaborate and bring value to the business, and prove that the trust and decision to invest in NI and NI operation was the right one, because we had identified the opportunity of bringing on cloud engineers to basically look at what they were doing to make subtle changes. And that first week I sat with the folks in Boston. We turned things off. We migrated certain services, and we were able to make 10, 15K monthly savings in that first week, because we then changed our perspective and we changed our opinion on what we had to do next. We got rid of our managed service provider on top of the original 10 to 15K we just saved by turning things off and making changes in the cloud. We saved another 10 to 15K by not going with that service provider and reinvested that in roles here in NI for cloud engineers to come on board and help us make further savings. So that was the first golden ticket opportunity and the first major change program that happened at HighRoads Belfast. And today, the HighRoads platform, I bring an analogy on stage of this bike. This bike, it's a very nice bike, not mine. It's very functional, just like our HighRoads platform was 3 years ago and still is today. It serves its purpose. It does what it needs to do for the client, but we can always do better. And our first lesson learned today was obviously about timeliness. Our second lesson that we learned today was about that golden opportunity. And in that golden opportunity, it was no longer myself leading HighRoads in Belfast. We brought on a team to start making change happen. And Jonah here is going to come on and help me make this bike change just like the HighRoads platform changed in 3 years. And whilst I'm going through a presentation, he's going to make changes to each lesson that we're going to learn today. So second lesson, I skipped over this slide. So I talked through these changes, but we'll go to the second lesson, keeping it simple. So there's a lot to be said about the complexities of what we do in business and the fact that we overthink things, over-engineer things, and make things too difficult for ourselves. And it's a great thought process about keeping things simple. And Elon Musk has a great quote that he made in one of his first presentations of Starship, which was, the best part is no part, the best process is no process. It weighs nothing, costs nothing, can't go wrong. And the thing that he's most impressed about when he goes into design meetings is, what did you undesign? Undesigning is the best thing. Just delete it, get rid of it. And in this bike, we can clearly see we have 2 bells. We don't need 2 bells. This is just an example of what happens in software. We end up adding features that are duplicates, that are over-engineered. And in the case of the bike, we're just going to remove one of those bells. We don't need it. It's a simple change management strategy, keeping it simple. Don't overthink things and undo some of those things that you've over-engineered, and think about when you're designing forward, how do you just remove things to actually design going forward and innovate? This is moving towards that keep it simple strategy. We started with this data model 3 years ago in HighRoads, and as you can see, it's explosive. There are loads and loads of isolated pieces of data. There's a big interconnected cyclical blob in the middle, and we looked at this, and you'll be thinking, what the tech? If you're a developer, you'll be thinking, what the tech? And this was our main thought initially, because it looks terrible, but it served a purpose. It was functional, as I said. The platform worked. It served what the clients needed. So there was nothing wrong with what the folks in HighRoads done. They'd done what they needed to get the product out the door, to get clients in, and to disrupt a space that hadn't been disrupted for many years. So they weren't doing anything wrong. But again, this is where we need to always look forward, always look ahead, always innovate. And this is our, upon the top of the AWS change management that we're doing with cloud engineers, this is our second change management that we're doing in the space of probably 12 months. And you're, again, probably thinking to yourself, what the tech? Why take on one? Now take on 2. So let's take a break. We can get too bogged down in business and too focused on, the presentation at hand. What else is going on in HighRoads whilst this is happening, whilst change management is going on? Well, there was an increase in employees, there was an increase in clients, new products being developed, new office being established, new roles being created. All of this can get very, very overwhelming. You have to take a step back and think about the well-being as well of the staff, of what's going on. And that's, given we started in 2019, we moved into 2020, COVID hit, doing 2 change management programs. what the tech? What were we doing? Were we taking on too much? What about the staff? How was their well-being? So again, what happened in that year of 2020 brings us on to the change about perception and bias and how we look at things in our surroundings. And there's a great quote about this: if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change something, change your attitude. So we had to look around us about the change management programs we were undertaking, about COVID, how is it impacting us and everything we're doing, and the rush, and take a step back and think about the well-being of others. Think about the well-being of ourselves and how that was impacting us. So at this point, I'm going to take a break, and Jonah's going to take a break. He's going to take a seat and sit down, and I'm going to take you into an ecosystem of 2020. You can see me on screen now, and this was what happened in 2020. We all went into different surroundings, our ecosystem changed, and we were now working from different environments, from our home, from our car, and that in turn is more change that was impacting us whilst we were going through enough change in the business. So, we have to take a reflection on well-being. How does this impact ourselves? How does this impact others? It was starting to invade the privacy of our work-life balance. You were starting to go inside people's homes, be in the homes with them, seeing their bedrooms, their bathrooms, their kitchens, different rooms in their house. And again, we have to reflect on what does a business need to do to ensure that change management is thought through, despite all our ongoing changes that we're all having to consume with COVID. So, this again is where we got bombarded with Zoom, with Slack, with MS Teams, and lots of other new technologies. Is my bagler? Huh? My bagler? Change your clothes. Huh? Your jeans? So folks, that was our break. And as you can see, I've changed. I'm a bit more relaxed. And again, this is perception and bias and change management in action. So what you've seen before was maybe the professional business person in a shirt, in their business attire, and it hasn't all gone according to plan, obviously, as all presentations do. My change of clothes disappeared from the backstage, so we had to improvise a little bit. But essentially, I've now turned into the nerdy sort of geek that sits in the IT space in the dev room and codes. But that perception also influences how we see people, on meetings and client meetings and team meetings when they're in their home. And that change has significantly impacted our lives and the well-being as well of, there's been folks that have suffered and been a topic of mental health awareness, which we're pretty passionate about at HighRoads. So we have to be careful, and we introduced sort of half-day Fridays and other aspects to start helping people recharge and to reflect on the mental health well-being, and that's another change management situation we had to deal with in HighRoads in that 3-year journey that, again, we didn't anticipate, we had to adapt to. Lesson 4, experience equals design. So we go on all the experiences that the users have, and these are some great quotes from Steve Jobs. If a user's having a problem, it's our problem. And the second quote he made is, design is not just what it looks like and feels like, design is how it works. And this bike would be useless to me if I went out tonight at 8, 9 o'clock, because I wouldn't be able to see an awful lot. So again, we're going to have to adapt, we're going to have to add lights. But again, at HighRoads, this was our existing solution that we started with and still have somewhat to this day, which it serves a brilliant purpose. It actually gets the clients away from spreadsheets, which I think most of us, if we've dealt with and still do deal with day in, day out, they're horrendous at doing certain jobs. So the job they were doing at the insurance broker space and doing product plan management, health plan management was horrendous, dealing with spreadsheets. So the solution that was built was a million miles away from what they were using, and so much better. However, it could be more, and again, we're wanting to innovate that space at HighRoads. So what buy-in do we need? So change management is never simple. It requires buy-in in multiple areas. It requires different strategies. So technology buy-in, we have to buy into new technology as an organization. We have to look at the talent. We have to look at is the technology integratable with our existing stack? Do our customers happy with the direction we're taking? If it's different cloud technologies, is it secure? So technology is part of that equation. The product roadmap, we have to get our product management team on board. We have to make it an integral part of our product roadmap moving forward. Clients, most importantly, the clients, we have to get their buy-in. We have to make sure they're on board, that they can use it, it's working with them in terms of a compliance. WCAG is the accessibility guidelines and compliance for usability of interfaces. It incorporates aspects for blindness and deafness. Again, it's an important part of the health sector and health tech sector in particular, and very important to our clients. And again, for ourselves, it's something we have to consider when we're changing something as pivotal as the user interface as part of a change management program. So, again, what the tech, another change management program, we're then having to devise approaches to make that change. Do you do a modular phased approach, start changing aspects of the UI and roll out bits and pieces that are changing with a new framework, new technology, and we move from Angular to React.js? Do you take an A/B approach? Do you change it all and then roll it out to a portion of the client base or certain clients, and then adopt the others in? Or do you do a complete direct changeover or a big bang approach, and just one day you've got this, next day you've got that? All of these aspects have to be considered in such a change. You can't just throw it out there and make the decision yourself. You have to buy in product management, buy in clients, as I said, and consider the technology. How does the technology allow you to approach change? What way can you roll that out? And this is our redesigned outcome. So we've spent the last 12 to 18 months going through not just one, not just two, but 3 technology change management programs. On top of that, going through the changes of COVID. On top of that, adding in changes to well-being to deal with COVID. So change is so pivotal to what we do day in, day out, and change is influenced by unconscious bias, as I've shown you before. And well-being at the center of all this, we still have to consider ourselves, and we have to look after ourselves. Jonah's done a brilliant job today. I'm going to make him relax for a bit. He's been up on stage doing work to that bike, adding in different components and just showing how we make something more functional, more appealing, and just more applicable to what the user needs as we innovate, adding in new technologies and new features. But lastly, in the last lesson, persistence. None of these change management programs, none of the work we do, none of the decisions we have made are made lightly, and equally we all fear what's going to happen, just like myself and probably the team more so than me have feared today what I'm doing, not knowing that I was going to potentially try and change behind stage without clothes that aren't there, not knowing that there's Wonka bars hidden under seats, not knowing that there's potential for a smoke machine in here, but I don't think Simon would have allowed it. But yeah, we should not fear failure. We should not fear trying. You have to try to change, try and be different. There's no point in me having come up to here today and given you the same change management talk that every other person has given, and given another talk that's just about business. It's about having fun. It's about understanding yourself, understanding bias. It's about adopting, accepting, embracing change. And it's about, as I said, not fearing failure and not fearing to try. There's been so many people here being very attentive, and I have another token gesture, but I'm going to find my mask. Yep, here it is. And I'm going to give it to the person I think has been probably the most attentive throughout this presentation. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But certainly I can see from up here certain reactions and certain angles and certain attitudes. And hopefully the cameraman can bear with me as I saunter on down, barefooted, trying to be different. And I'm navigating my way through with a mic that I'm breaking, so forgive me, folks. Yourself, thank you very much for your time today. And that gift there is, again, it's about change. That is technical innovation. That gift was acquired a couple of days ago on Amazon, and it is a breathing and meditation device that is just new from a startup in the product space on Amazon. I'm not sure how good it is, what it does, but it will hopefully intrigue, inspire, and just make people think that have watched in today and listened in on the stream. And I thank you all for your time today. And now if anyone has questions, I'm more than welcome to take some questions if time permits. It does indeed. You're all very quiet. Just in awe of the theatrics. Well, I'm Johnny Sinclair, VP of Engineering at HighRoads. I have enjoyed your time today. I've enjoyed talking to you about change management in a different way. The team from HighRoads are down here. I myself hopefully will get changed back into a shirt. Again, I'll be around at the back of stage if you want to chat about HighRoads, about change management, about what we do in health tech engineering as well. And we've got a lot of roles on offer. So if you're looking for a role, if you're a graduate or an intern or just a developer at any level, please feel free to chat to myself and the team. Thank you very much.